At any moment, as we said, we do expect President Trump to participate in that roundtable discussion at the Defense and Innovation Summit in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. He's going to be touting how his administration is helping to drive the nation's next era of American defense while he wages war in the Middle East. J.P. Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon is there. He spoke earlier at the event and said that without American leadership, the world would be in a much tougher place. But before President Trump takes that stage, he just spoke to Edward Lawrence in a Fox Business exclusive. Edward, he said some pretty incredible things. Let's hear it from you.
Yeah, pretty amazing things. I got what we call a pull aside as he was walking into the arena here. Stopped by, talked to him about a wide range of issues here. The president, first and foremost, said that he is concerned for his safety, but he doesn't think about it. Well, you just have to listen to hear what he said. Listen to this. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for making time. I really
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
Good.
Yeah. If I could ask you, this is there have been threats on your life from Iran. This is the first appearance outside the White House since the NATO summit. Do you feel safe making appearances like this?
I don't even think about it, because if I do, I wouldn't be very effective. So I don't even think about it. Certainly other people do, and I think they're doing a good job doing that, but I don't even think about it, Ed.
So the Defense Production Act, we're at a defense summit.
Right.
You invoked the Defense Production Act for the defense industry. How fast do you think that means jobs? And then how fast do you think that means refilling the supplies, rearming the U.S. military?
Well, so much was given away by the Biden administration. They were given away just willy-nilly to Ukraine and anybody else that asked for it. And when I came in, I saw this. I said, there's going to be a problem. We better do something about it. And as you know, I stopped, and now they pay to NATO. Yeah. We sell to the European Union. We sell to we get a lot of money. And it's not even the money. We have to watch ourselves. You know, it's called America First. And we're building up our reserves very rapidly. And as you probably also know, the great companies that we have are now building plants all over, not just taking one plant that they've used for a long time and doing overtime. We have 4, 5, 6 plants by each of the major companies being built, brand new plants in different areas to make. As an example, you could say the Patriot, which is so heavily sought, or the Tomahawk, the Tomahawk missile. So we want to have it not where you have to wait a year to get something, or a year and a half or 2 years. We want to have it where you wait a week or maybe less, and we're going to have that very soon.
You're going to nudge the CEOs?
Well, they've been nudged. Oh, they've been nudged. And, you know, one thing, speaking of your show, and your show is great, by the way, and you are, and so you know exactly what I'm talking about. Some of these companies are spending tens of billions of dollars on stock buybacks. They're not allowed to do that anymore. Now they have to build plants, so they're building plants all over the country.
I wanted to ask you, Mr. President, about Iran and on Iran. You came to the conclusion that you couldn't negotiate with the IRGC. Does that mean that you might wipe them out like you did ISIS?
Yeah, it does. We will see what's happening. We received a call just as I was coming here. They want to meet. They always want to meet. But, you know, this should have been done by other presidents for many years, for 47 years, but really a lot longer than that, and it wasn't. And I never understood why, but now I do. Because if you're not going to do it the way I'm doing it, you're never going to make a deal with them. They were very difficult. They're good negotiators. They were tapping everybody along for 47 years. Then Obama came in, and he just offered them, you know, a fortune of money. He paid them off. $1.7 billion in green cash and hundreds of billions of dollars. And that really set everyone else back, because they started wanting to make nuclear weapons. And then we hit them a year ago, just about a year ago, with the B-2 bombers, and that ended that. So we got a little bit lucky. Our timing was a little bit lucky.
Yeah, so Mr. President, Dan Kane, Raising Kane, is your chief of staff.
Right.
He was the one, or Joint's chief of staff, he was the one who wiped out ISIS.
That's right.
Could he be tasked then now to wipe out the IRGC if you can't negotiate with them?
Well, we're going to be in good shape. I mean, they are really, they've been depleted. Their weapons are down 91%. The drone capacity is way down. They still have, but not a lot. Their manufacturing capacity is down. Their rocket launchers and their missile launchers are way down. Their missiles are way down. You know, down. They're probably depleted by 88, close to 90%. Now, that doesn't mean there's still not danger, and there is. They're nasty people, but they want to make a deal. I can tell you they want to make a deal, and You don't have to be a genius to realize when you see what's happening to them every night. And now today we gave them a little daytime shot, too. So this should have been done not by me. This should have been done a long time ago, long before me.
Something you know about the domestic economy. Inflation report came out for June. It was actually deflation. It was down 0.4%.
Yep.
Are you concerned, though, that renewed operations in Iran might turn that around, or is that going to be a trend,
Well,
you think?
look, they're making a lot of money. The defense companies are doing great. It's jobs. It's all jobs. I'm not doing this for jobs, but when you think of it, we make our own equipment. We make the best military equipment in the world. What I do want to do is make it faster because we need it, but allies need it. Saudi Arabia, I mean, if you told Saudi Arabia buy 5,000 Patriot missiles, they'd buy them instantaneously. So we need this stuff. It has to be made faster, and we're doing that. We are building plants. Not only that, cars, AI. We're building plants at a level that we've never seen in this country. We have $19.2 trillion pouring in, and I think now it's even higher than that number. There's never been a number like that for any country at any time.
Do you see inflation at the end of the year less than it is now?
Well, I think so. I think what's happening is oil's going to be a little bit of a yo-yo for a while. It goes up a little bit, goes down a little bit, and when this is over, oil is going to drop like a rock. So the answer would be yes.
And one quick topic, the Federal Reserve. Would you be okay if the Federal Reserve paused rates for the rest of the year?
Well, it's better than raising them. Okay, I mean, I'd like to see them go down. I'd like to see our country have the lowest rate anywhere in the world. You know, you have other countries that are only there because of us, that are only successful. You know, they're called blue chips. I don't have to mention them. You sort of know who I'm talking about. They're like blue chips, but they have massive purchases from us, and we have deficits with them. And, you know, the tariffs that brought that back a long way, our trade deficit is down 68% in 1 year. Think of that. If you're a president and you got it down 1%, you're a genius. We have it down 68%. That's because of the use of tariffs. And I wish I could use them faster. The Supreme Court said you can't use them as fast as I was using them, but I can use them actually more effectively by the method we're doing, because there are various methods of doing it.
So you're giving Kevin Warsh some runway then to lower rates?
I do. I have a lot of respect for him. He's going to do. Don't forget, he has a board. Maybe it's hostile. You know, it could be hostile. And maybe it's people that don't want to do what's, you know, the right thing. Look, we create such wealth for the world, and we want to create it for ourselves and also help them. But you have countries that are paying 1%, 1.5%, and we're paying 3% and 4%, and they're only paying because of us. If we wiped out that deficit, if we wanted to wipe out the deficits just through the use of tariffs and wanted to do it in one fell swoop, we'd be the biggest money machine in history, and they'd all not make money. But in the meantime, they are considered elite countries because we allow them to make too much money. Now, I've taken a lot of that away from them. They're still doing very well. But we should have the lowest interest rate anywhere in the world by far, like we used to have many years ago.
One last quick one. Your face is now going to be on a coin, it looks like, from the Treasury Department?
Yes.
What do you think about that?
Well, I was very honored. It's cute. Not a bad picture. But it's very cute. They gave me a coin. That's very unusual from what I understand.
A gold coin.
A gold coin and a silver coin. It was very unusual, but I was honored by it.
Mr. President, thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate your time.
You do a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the president was telling me that he also is going to go to the World Cup final game. He's going to be there for the trophy presentation. But the big news, he did tell us that the U.S. struck Iran again today, just recently. He also said that we will be in good shape when talking about the outcome of all of this. So very interesting what the president had to say right before he's going to go on stage
well,
here.
you just made a lot of news here, Edward. I do want to say that the news right this minute is that second round of strikes is happening in Iran at the moment. We just got this breaking news, CENTCOM confirming, stay with us, Edward, here for a second, that it has begun new strikes on Iranian military capabilities that have been used to threaten vessels freely transiting through the Strait of Hormuz. So the action is there. Interestingly, during the comments that he made to you, he had said they're not, meaning the defense companies are no longer allowed to do share buybacks. They need to start churning out all of this weaponry, because some of it has definitely been depleted by the war. We're looking at many of these names, except for RTX. The rest were positive. They have turned negative. But what more did you sense from the president about how serious he is that he's going to hold these defense companies' feet to the fire?
Well, very serious. You know, I asked him about, are you going to sort of talk to nudge the CEOs? He said the nudging has already happened with the CEOs related to this, and going out on stage. It's a who's who in the room there, and the president's going to address them directly, publicly, to go faster with the expansions. And it's not just expansions of existing plants, it's other plants. It's new plants that they're creating to come online. The president would like, in the next 12 months or so, I get the feeling, to be able to have some of these Tomahawk missiles, some of these Patriot missiles roll off the line with a turnaround time of maybe a month or less.
Yeah, we're looking at the European defense makers. That's interesting. They are all higher. He did comment about getting NATO to spend more money on their weaponry, those NATO countries. And sure enough, that would really benefit a lot of these foreign defense companies, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I have actually talked with the commissioner defense commissioner for the European Union, who told me that, yes, they're spending in the round of billions of dollars in that range with specifically U.S. defense makers. They say that pretty much 75% of their defense spending, when they buy things in Europe, the European Union specifically, it comes from the United States. It comes from the defense contractors that are in the room here behind me. So it's a boom for the U.S. going forward. But if you follow what the president's plan is to scale up this defense sector, there could be some real runway for the folks who are investing in defense, for folks who are making defense, and the jobs that they're creating. I mean, just the one ship maker, Hanway, is ramping up. They had 210 jobs when they started, and they took over the port of Philadelphia. They're making ships for the military as well as the Department of Transportation. They now have 2,200 jobs, and they're going to make 7,000 new jobs by the end of this year.
Yeah,
so
Hanway,
they're
the
really
South
ramping
Korean,
up, and that's happening across the defense sector.
That's how South Korea got a better deal when it came, at least at that moment, to the tariffs, because Hanway is South Korean, but they started manufacturing in Pennsylvania. Edward, great job. Thank you very much. I do just want to say that, yes, CENTCOM is saying that the U.S. has begun a second wave of strikes against Iran, and there are explosions being heard in different parts of Iran. The U.S. and the president told Edward they're focusing very much on any kind of missile defense action that the Iranians may or may not still have.